It's Talkback, Central Louisiana's longest-running talk show. Whether it's the guests or the callers, Talkback is where Central Louisiana begins its conversation.
And good morning. It's a Thursday morning without Al in here, which is not to be celebrated. We lament the fact that Al's not here, but Nathan and Stephen with you on this Thursday morning. Good morning, Stephen.
Morning. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
We need a break from Al sometime.
Well, I used to be the Tuesday, Thursday guy, and then you showed up, and now I'm the Tuesday guy. Yeah. But I wasn't on Tuesday this week, and I had a couple of friends they were confused. Why weren't you there? Well, Al's having oral surgery this morning. He asked me to cover today and tomorrow, so we wish him the best. And oral surgery is not one of my top 10 list of favorite things to do.
No bueno. Not good.
Had it a little bit. But I'm glad to be with you today. And today is going to be a wide open talk line day. We have no guest in studio. So it's all you on the BOM Bank talk line, 318-442-8255. Love to have you chat with us. Give us a call. Let us know what's on your mind. Steve and I have a few things that we would like to chat about. And there's always stuff around the world taking place. You were covering a fire last night. Hey, when are you off duty?
I don't know. This social media stuff is nonstop. But I was leaving the gym, and my wife called me like, "Hey, big fire on Redwood Drive." So I drive over there. Ended up being a vacant house. Nobody was inside, and there are no injuries. But if you were in the North Mall corridor, as I like to call it, you saw a lot of flames, a lot of smoke. But seems like everyone was fine, but just a huge fire presence there, and everything's okay. It seems like they're trying to figure out how it started.
You know, a lot of times if it's a vacant house, sometimes it's a vagrant or someone that's, because usually that's more in the wintertime, though, when they're trying to find a place and they're heating up. So a vacant house in the summertime, could it be just a spark wire old wiring? Who knows?
No telling, but they said they're still investigating. And I talked to some of the neighbors, and at first, because there were so many emergency crews, it was backed up for like a quarter of a mile. But I was talking to the neighbors. They're like, "Hey, elderly person, church member lives down there. I'm super worried about him." Went down there to check, and I met him back up. It's like, it looks like it was just a vacant house fire. So good news when nobody is hurt. We like that.
That's right. And I know the fire department has great investigators, and they'll be able to give some answers to the homeowner and the neighbors. Glad they contained that. That was good. So somebody must have reported it pretty quickly for the fire department to get there.
Yeah, it was pretty quick, and they put it out fairly quickly, too. It was under 40 minutes, I think.
That's great.
Just a little bit of smoke when I got there.
Speaking of response time, you were at the ambulance committee meeting. Was that yesterday?
That was the ambulance advisory committee meeting yesterday at the police jury chamber in the courthouse. They were... It was the first meeting they've had since Pafford took over 2 weeks ago for emergency or ambulance services in Rapides Parish.
So a big question that a lot of people had was they voted on the definition of response time, and people were commenting, "Wait a minute, we didn't have a definition of response time," and I found that a little bit odd myself. So what was the debate as far as what were the options that they were voting between? I think the final decision was from the time the call to Pafford is made.
It's a very complicated. Basically, what they decided on is it's the response time is from dispatch to on-scene arrival. And I'm trying to get my phrases correct here, but there was some confusion over when the call came in, and Pafford basically said, "We really don't want to do that." And sometimes there's these really wild discrepancies, like there was a 40-minute delay. They had one that was an hour and 8 minutes from when the call came in. So basically, I guess the call taker, the dispatcher, opens up computer windows beforehand, getting ready for the next call, and that automatically starts the timer for as a call coming on. So they could have a minimized window sitting there for quite some time.
That's not good.
And so they said that was basically trainees coming on and doing some of that stuff. They thought, and everyone seemed to agree for the most part right now, that the best way to handle this is dispatch to on-scene arrival.
And that's Pafford dispatch? That's their call?
Yes.
That's not the call to them from 911?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. And so we also got some of the numbers, too, and I'm trying to pull it up here. They're basically, Pafford looks at things in an 8-minute, 12-minute, and 20-minute time zone. That's certain areas where they want to be under that time limit. The big one they were focused on was the 20-minute zone, which would be like DeVille area. So far, in 2 weeks, they've had an 88% response time in the 20-minute zone. They said they did have one scenario where there was a 40-plus minute wait time. Basically, they have a master switch on one of the trucks out there. It was left on, so the truck died, and they had to call in another truck from somewhere else. So just kind of little numbers like that, super small sample size. And Pafford says we are missing the mark in some areas. However, we are learning the area and trying to get acclimated to it since it's only been 2 weeks. So from what I saw and from what I heard from the chairman, Dr. Paul Correll, also the LCOA chancellor, he was saying they're pleased so far with the response times and the numbers coming from Pafford. And of course, though, if Pafford doesn't live up to those standards, they could be fined eventually and or the contract terminated.
So, and they have a 1-year kind of probationary period, right? That's what they're in right now.
From what I understand, yes. Yeah.
So, but it sounds like, though, that the committee itself seemed to be pleased overall.
Yeah.
You're going to have an outlier here or there. You're going to have a mistake, but some of that may be the newness, like you said, the trainees being trained on things.
Yeah, I mean, everyone seemed to be fairly positive about the whole thing. They also talked about hiring a third party, whether that's a data analyst or another company that looks at this data from Pafford to make sure that maybe the committee and the police jury get accurate numbers or more detailed, specific numbers or spelled out correctly. So they're looking at doing that for the next meeting that happens next month. And just to remind everybody, this committee doesn't make ordinances, they don't make laws, they basically recommend things to the police jury who has that power.
So they're an advisory committee.
They are an advisory
and they'll make
committee.
Recommendations, and the police jury will make final decisions.
Yep, and it's made up of, well, the chairman is Dr. Paul Correll. They also have Pineville police chief, they have some fire chiefs there as well, a representative each from Cabrini and Rapides Regional. So it's made up of experts.
Some of those as I saw the picture looking around the room. Is this the same advisory committee that made the recommendation, or is this a new committee? I know Correll was on the other committee, but it seemed like some of the people on there, I think, seem to be new. Maybe.
I think this is the first meeting of that nature, for sure. And they just hired I think they call it a contract administrator. And so he was kind of giving them recommendations as well. So a lot of stuff happened.
Yeah, well, I know who can give us some information down the road. The DeVille fire departments are keeping track of their calls and times and response time. And I think their data was some of the data that was influential in some concerns they had about the previous provider's performance. And so I'm sure they'll be watching this as well. And every department will, I'm sure.
And Pafford's 88% so far. They wanted to highlight, and the DeVille fire chief wanted to highlight, that it's significantly higher than previously. They were in the 20s at one point. They claimed there was one with the 6% response time in that 20-minute time zone. So they're proud of that so far.
Wow.
Yeah, and they also have another truck on standby there in case something happens. So.
Well, that's good context that you just provided, because if you just hear out of the gate 88%, you're thinking, well, that's a B, right?
Yeah.
But you're saying comparison to previous, then that's some significant increases. Well, good deal. Well, that was good. And man, I just love following you. I said the other day, it's a full-time job following everything because you're posting all the time. And I know you really enjoyed that. I came in this morning and was looking downstairs at the backdrop that you use on different shoots down there.
Yeah.
Did they do that just for you?
No, they just wanted to highlight the vibes down there, make it more modern. I love it. If you can create a nice space to work in, it's fantastic, even though I'm barely down there.
Right. Well, you're always out and about making stuff. The Logan, not Logan's, we'll get to the Logan story later. The Cinelaw Broadcasting backdrop is vibrant and alive, and
it is
very nice.
They got a muralist to come down here and paint, and I love it. Looks fantastic. We have that textured blue navy wall as well.
Yeah, so you got two options there.
Some
the only thing you need is a green screen.
We have fancy pillows.
Do you really?
We do.
I'm not a big fancy pillow kind of guy.
It's so cool. It's like I don't know how to explain. It's like a puzzle piece. I'll show it to you later.
Okay, yeah, I'll check that out. All right, well, Stephen Maxwell and myself here, Nathan Martin, with you this morning. Your phone calls on the BOM Bank Talk Line, 318-442-8255. I wanted to ask you also about the Logan's Roadhouse story that you did, because confusion abounds with letters that went out.
Well, I got a bunch of messages about these flyers saying, hey, there's this event at Logan's Roadhouse at the end of June, beginning of July. One of those things like, hey, save money on your utilities and your home costs. And saying if you come, you get a free dinner at Logan. So people were messaging me like, hey, what's going on? Is this still happening? Did this event get canceled, or what's the deal? And I called the number on the flyer they told me it's been moved to 2 other locations in Alexandria. I blocked out the company's name, the company's number. I'm not trying to advocate for them, just kind of reiterate, Logan's is still closed. Those flyers were sent out before they closed the restaurant.
Well, I'll tell you a funny thing about that. I was Googling some things. I'm going to see if I can go to it in that area. Actually, do you remember when the accident happened with the children on the four-wheeler that hit the vehicle?
Yeah.
And they gave the address. And so I was looking at that address on Google Maps and then kind of zoomed out. And when I zoomed out, I saw that over there where Logan's is, and I'm going to it right now to see if it still shows it. I got to get to it now on Google Maps. But when I went to that area and zoomed into it, there was it's still there, Twisted Tenders Chicken shows up at Logan's. And I'm like, so I texted Matt Ritchie, hey, Twisted Tenders Chicken, have they already signed a deal to have somebody in? And Matt's like, I hadn't heard anything. Well, come to find out, Twisted Tenders Chicken, say that 3 times fast with a dry tongue, is actually a nationwide chain that partners with restaurants to sell their stuff out of those restaurants.
Interesting.
And they were selling out of Logan's. So if you went to twistedtenders.com, I didn't either, but you go to their website, you discover. So if you're on Google Maps and you notice Panda Express, Logan's is gone from the Google Maps, but Twisted Tenders Chicken is only there because of a previous agreement with Logan's for them to provide their stuff. So
that's interesting. We need to get one of those. We need to get into these restaurants in a chain or something, like make up some random food, and that's what I'm telling you. It is listed for $26 a square foot, though.
I saw that. That's Matt told me that. You got to sell a lot of something at $26 a foot to pay that rent. All right, we're at the bottom of the hour. It's time for the news. We've got a phone line lit up. We'll come back to your calls with Stephen and Nathan on Talkback.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s push to eliminate synthetic dyes from the U.S. food supply is picking up more steam now that Nestle and ConAgra have both said they'll cut the additives. Nestle says it will remove the dyes from its U.S. lineup by mid-2026. ConAgra will work to remove the dyes by the end of 2027. The announcements follow similar ones from Kraft Heinz and General Mills. Still holding on to your traditional landline phone? AT&T executives are making the case for customers to give up on the copper lines as it bets big on fiber optic cable. The company is laying fiber optic cable which can handle more traffic, including an expected boom stemming from data-heavy artificial intelligence tools. Futures point to a higher open for Wall Street. Traders are betting that interest rate cuts could come sooner than expected following a Wall Street Journal report that President Donald Trump may fast-track his pick for the next Fed chair. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
If you'd like to take part in the show today, call the BOM Bank Talk line at 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. And remember, if you're looking to purchase or refinance your home, call Christina Bagwell at the BOM Bank Mortgage Department at 448-2430.
To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. Now back to Talkback.
Welcome back to Talkback Thursday morning. Nathan sitting in for Al. Steve Maxwell TV. We'll get to that name change hopefully coming up soon.
Trying.
But right now, let's go to the phone lines. Good morning. You're on Talkback with Stephen and Nathan.
Good morning.
Hello.
Want to share some information about Optimum TV.
Okay.
I have the internet, which is outstanding, and I also have Optimum phone service, and I never have a problem. I had left Optimum TV because of some problems.
Mm-hmm.
I went back last week just for people's knowledge. If you go in and sign up, like for the value pack, which I did.
Okay.
The technician comes out and gives you a little box and a remote. Now, the only problem with that is with that box and remote, you cannot record.
Ah,
So what you have to do is add what they call the DVR service.
okay.
And this was not mentioned in any conversation. So you add the DVR service, which is roughly $14 a month. And they give you a new box and a new remote. In my case, that's 2 boxes and 2 remotes. So just for people's knowledge, if you go in and you get the basic box and the basic remote, you will not be able to record without what is called the DVR service. I'm just wanting to give people information.
Well, that's a good heads up for those who may not think about that. DVRing, digital
Yes, sir.
video recording, has become such a natural part of our lives that we don't think of it not being an option.
Yeah, and you know, I love girls basketball, college. I love LSU Tigers and the Connecticut Huskies. And if they're both on, I can't watch them both at the same time. So I want to record one. Well, I
Right.
couldn't. But now I've added the service and I can. So just a heads up.
That's great. Well, Optimum, thank you.
gentlemen.
Thank you so much for your call. We appreciate that on the BOM Bank Talk Line, 318-442-8255. Appreciate your call, sir. And as we open up the line for others to call in and chat with us, interesting Optimum. This is public information, so what I'm saying is not privileged or private, proprietary, but as part of our budget package that we got for the city council budget that we'll be adopting at the end of the month. Part of it showed the franchise fees for Atmos, for Cleco, for Optimum. Atmos and Cleco, both fees have either been stable or going up for the last 10 years. We get a chart. Optimum has been almost half now than what it was 10 years ago, which means their number of local residents using that service has really significantly declined. We didn't get a chart on Vexus. They're brand new. We won't have their data until a year from now. And I'm not sure about the AT&T, but I have a feeling that AT&T probably picked up a lot of that because AT&T probably 3 or 4 years ago offered fiber in large parts of Alexandria and Pineville. That's what Vexus is now offering is the fiber connection. And so Optimum has really, when you talk about what competition will do to an industry, you can see it right there. And that chart clearly shows Optimum's service number of clients in the area has decreased. I think part of that also is not just the competition, well, the fact that competition gave people options, but during the response to a storm a couple of years ago, Optimum was very, very slow getting their service back up. I know State Representative Mike Johnson was heavy into communication with them. He brought them in to testify before one of the House committees, and a lot of people were very frustrated with how slow. When I actually still have Optimum and for my internet, and it's been solid where I'm at, so I'm grateful for that.
It's amazing what a little competition can do for you.
No doubt about it.
A lot of there's already a lot of Vexus customers I've been hearing.
There are, yeah. Alexandria has quite a few. Alexandria has a few. You know, Vexus created some headaches for the city of Pineville, perhaps for Alexandria, I don't know, but for Pineville is that they were boring their lines underground instead of open trenching, which is great, except that when you're boring underground, you have a tendency to hit things like water lines. I don't think they hit any gas lines, but they hit a few water lines, and so that was part of the franchise agreement, was making sure that they reimbursed for damages that were caused. So, but they're available. I don't know where their office is. I see. Do you use the Nextdoor app?
No.
Okay, I'm a big user of the Nextdoor app, and I see from time to time people posting, hey, here's a code you can use. If you'll sign up for it, you'll get $50 off, and I'll get a $50 credit or whatever. So they're being very aggressive with that. I know they have a local salesperson who is advocating, but I don't know if they have a physical office or not. Do you know if they have a physical office?
I haven't heard.
Okay.
No.
It's amazing how many things are done online.
100%. Yeah. If I could avoid going to a physical office, I am going to go online 24/7.
Okay, I am seeing that they are at 2385 South MacArthur Drive, Suite E, which would be I have no idea where that's at. 2385 South. I'm gonna click on it and let it bring it up to me.
That's not too far from Logan's, huh?
Actually, it's right there by the courtyard, outside the mall. Okay, so it's on that little, right there by Albertsons, right across from Albertsons on that mall drive.
Okay.
You're over there a lot. Which gym do you go to? Are you
LAC.
LAC?
Alexandria. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go to Pineville eventually when I want to go to the hot tub or the steam room.
Yeah.
But LAC is a good bang for your buck.
They got a lot of nice amenities as far as a gym. I was a member for many years. I've joined another one that I'm hoping I get better results from, because since I only drive by both of them, I'm hoping I'll get more benefit from the other one that I just drive by.
It's a pretty building.
I want the osmosis benefits, for you guys working out. I'm paying my bill. Why am I not losing weight?
I'm pumped for the steam room at LAC Pineville. I used to go there all the time in college.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
Yep.
And get some heat up in there.
Somebody
would need that.
Put some menthol in there and open up your sinuses.
They do that. Yeah. I can't take it for too long though. Some of those guys can just live in there. Or you get the guys who do like the push-ups and the sit-ups and the younger guys.
That's nuts.
I'm like, heck no.
As long as they take a shower when they leave before they get in the hot tub, that's the main thing. Don't bring all that sweat into the hot tub.
And put some clothes on.
Please.
Lord,
absolutely. We're not Greek.
They don't need to walk around all day without clothes on. Good Lord.
Oh my goodness. The things that happen. A friend of mine is over at Planet Fitness, and they say they have this agua massage table thing.
Really?
That's part of it, that they say it's worth the $20 a month just to go get the aqua massage.
An aqua massage.
I have no idea. It's some kind of table that this water-filled thing comes down on you and massages your body. So
really?
That's what they say. I'm afraid my claustrophobia would really give me fits if I couldn't get out easily.
I hear you. What are those things? It's like where you sit in this cool, calm area and you're in the water floating. What do they call that?
Lazy river?
No. It's like a sensory deprivation.
Oh. Okay.
I forgot what they call it.
I have no idea.
Sensory deprivation. I always wanted to try one of those.
Maybe we'll come back to that after this break. We'll be back with more on Talkback with Stephen and Nathan with your phone calls right after this.
KSYL. The cost of air travel is more than just the ticket price. It's also fuel, meals, lodging, parking, and time. The more we fly AEX, the better our chances of bringing back flights to Houston and Charlotte. Support AEX and help our community grow. Find your true cost at local.flyaex.org.
You too could have a beautiful smile in as little as 12 weeks. Exclusive to Today's Dental in Pineville, Virtual Align Clear Aligners, the fastest, most convenient, affordable way to straighten your teeth for people on the go. Plus, they're invisible. No one will know you're doing it. Experience the Virtual Align difference. Call Today's Dental at 448-4540. It's a general dental facility on Highway 28 East in Pineville, owned by Dr. Jonas Goche. 448-4540.
Got a big day ahead of you? Then it's best to fuel up with some of St. best at Bricato's Restaurant. Walk right in and just smell that home-style cooking. Place your order, take a seat, and do breakfast right till 9:30 this morning. Get fresh biscuits, eggs any way you like them, melt-in-your-mouth pancakes, grits, hash browns, sausage, bacon, even wraps and sandwiches. And don't forget their fresh brewed coffee. Bricato's Restaurant, 28 West, right across from the Coliseum. Your breakfast is waiting for you.
I'll be here to hear what's on your mind.
As an adult, kids want to know you're listening to them, but they also want to listen to you. When it comes to alcohol, they want to know your expectations and how and why to avoid underage drinking. Talking early and often about it in everyday conversations reinforces your message and keeps lines of communication open. For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
I'll be by your side.
From America's #1 travel radio show, I'm Mary Carey, and this is your RM World Travel Minute. Travel scams are real, and these days, one of the most common types of travel scams is a fake travel agency or a fake online sightseeing tour. This is why both Robert and I believe you should research online, but book with a trusted travel advisor, particularly for international trips. Fraud in this sector is more than 4 times higher than the global average. These scams are more common in certain destinations, such as Hong Kong, where fraudulent travel agencies and tour operators make up 70% of the city's travel-related scams. These travel scams are also common in Barcelona and Delhi, India, where they account for 64% of the travel scams in both of those cities, and Cancun comes in at 48%. I'd recommend not doing anything online with sightseeing tours or online travel agencies that are going to require a prepayment. Think twice if an offer sounds too good to be true, and go to verification.com to find trusted travel advisors to help you book safely. You can find more travel info at rmworldtravel.com, and until the next time, everyone, happy travels.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYL. To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. Talkback.
All 3 lines are lit up on Talkback. Let's go to the first one. Good morning. If you heard that means you're on the line. Good morning. Welcome to Talkback.
Hello?
Hello, that's you.
Yes. FYI on the Vexus office.
Yeah.
That place is already closed.
Oh, really?
I was there last week returning something, and I was on their internet, and it was all right, but got a super deal with Optimum. Once I got off of them, they offered me a super deal because they are closed.
Wow.
And I've heard T-Mobile has bought them out, so I would imagine they're going to move probably into T-Mobile local offices, I would think.
That's great information to have. You saying that T-Mobile bought out Vexus?
That's what I heard.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's some breaking news that we'll have to check into.
I had their internet. It was pretty good, but Optimum offered me a great deal. I couldn't pass up.
They're in a joint venture to acquire Vexus.
Yeah. But there's nothing wrong with their internet. It was fine. I had it for about a month. It was okay.
Okay.
Optimum was a whole lot better for the price.
Well,
but anyway.
And that goes exactly to what we're saying about competition, right? You bring competition to a market, and then all of a sudden everybody ups their game. So you're the beneficiary of that. That's wonderful.
Exactly. They had gone up $100 on my Optimum bill, so I got off and I called the retention department, and they wouldn't come down but a few dollars. And once I got off the Optimum, I had 3 reps call me from Optimum and offered me this great deal, about $125 a month for 2 years. So I got on that. And that's everything, cable and internet.
Do you have your cell phone with them as well?
No. I had it one time when they first started, and I had problems with the reception.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been on AT&T now for years. But right at first when it came out, it was not very good. I had a hard time pulling apps on the phone, and I got off and got on AT&T.
Interesting. Well, that is great information. I'm so glad you let us know. When Rod Knowles would come on the show, he would call the callers drive-by reporters because they would drive by, see it, and call us. And we appreciate you letting us know about that. Thank you so much.
All righty.
All right, let's go to the next line. Good morning. You're on Talkback with Stephen and Nathan.
Hey, good morning. I heard so thank you for taking my call. Your impersonation of that was pretty good.
Well, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. I was actually wanting to talk about something else. Yesterday, I called in about the 100 or so Democrats that voted not to impeach President Trump, and hoping that this is a turn in the Democratic Party. And, when the policies of the Democrats in the last administration caused a lot of suffering, from the prices that we paid at the pumps and the grocery stores all the way through, international troubles. And when people suffer, it causes us to think more. That's just part of human nature. When we feel a thorn, we try to figure out where that thorn is, and we try to get it out. And, I was listening to a podcast yesterday. This guy's going through the Federalist Papers, but it reminded me of another set of essays that a lot of you haven't heard of called Letters from a Pennsylvania Farmer. Have y'all ever heard of that?
I have not.
Oh, they're awesome. I can't remember this guy's name. It's been a long time since I read it, but this guy was just a Pennsylvania farmer. And when the issue of independence and declaring independence and the suffering that the Parliament was causing the settlers here, he was just a farmer. He submitted a series of essays that they published in newspapers, and And these things are profound on probing, okay, what is the real purpose of government? And how far should we give people power over ourselves in exchange for what they say will be safety or some other benefit? And it all came from uncomfortable situations. And if anybody gets a chance to read them, I highly recommend it. You can probably find them online for free. But there were lots of those things that average people came up with because they were caused to think by pain.
I think he was a big Jefferson guy, right?
John Dickinson is his name.
That's it. Yeah.
So he wrote these letters in 1767 to 1768, all written prior to the Declaration of Independence. There was a lot of thinking going on those days.
Well, people were talking about stuff, and it was a lot like we have today. Some people say, "Oh, it's not that bad." Other people say, "No, it's going to get worse." People say, "Oh, why did they rebel?" Our founders rebelled against a 3% tax, and we're taxed 40-50%. It wasn't the amount of the tax. What they said, if we give them this little tax, that gives them license to tax us all the way up the hill. And they understood principles. And anyway, I hope we are moving in a direction because, when Reagan was in office, a lot of Democrats came over and voted for him. I remember seeing bumper stickers on our people, Democrats for Reagan. And the hardcore Democrats realized that they can never let that happen again, that some of their base goes after a Republican. And so they fight anything Republicans do. We can't be that way. We can't survive. House divided cannot stand. Lincoln told us that. So we have to be able to applaud the good policies of the other side if they result in the American people thriving. Now, I believe our philosophies on the right are better. I believe history has proven them. We're a lot further down the road than our founders were or than Lincoln was. Up until 1930, I could see people believing in socialism. Oh, it sounded good on paper. Everybody would be equal. It doesn't work out with human nature. And look, the 20th century, how many millions of people died under socialistic efforts? So anyways, I don't want to take up too much of y'all's time, but ideas have consequences. And the consequences usually hurt the poorest the most. So, the ideas are out there. They've been proven. We need to argue for them intelligently and vigorously because they're arguing for theirs vigorously. Anyway.
There are huge arguments. Yeah, huge arguments back then, too, about, the scope of federal power, between John Adams and Thomas Jefferson. It's just been an ongoing discussion for quite some time. They were both best friends, started hating each other, and they became friends again. Right. So it's just been the nature of it.
Well, Jefferson and Adams are the ones that had the big fight, and they did become very good friends and died on the same day, 50 years after the signing of the Declaration. But the difference was they were arguing for the way they best thought America would work. They weren't trying to tear down America. Neither side wanted to tear down America. And that's how we were right up until, I think, between JFK and LBJ, people in the Democratic Party took a term and they started saying America is bad. America needs to be eradicated. AOC said it today, this year. Maybe America needs to fall so we can build something better in its ashes. What could be better than what we have? Everybody is scratching and clawing in their underwear trying to get it here. There is nothing better. What results in human suffering is complete liberty, and that they like to call it capitalism. It's free enterprise. Free enterprise. And so, anyways, we've won the war of ideas. Now we just need to hold on to our victory. Thanks for letting me speak with you.
Thank you so much, Dave. Appreciate your call. Always, we have a couple other calls on the line. We've got to take a break. We'll be back with more of your calls right after this.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
Don't miss the Hot Tub and Swim Spa Blowout Expo this weekend only at the LaBorde Earls Entertainment Center. Browse over 40 hot tubs, cold therapy tubs, swim spas, and saunas from Nature Brands. And up to 50% off this weekend at the LaBorde Earls Entertainment Center. Visit hottubexpo.com or call 1-800-SPA-SALE.
Imagine walking where land meets sea, where every step echoes centuries of stories. This is the Portuguese coastal Camino de Santiago. From Porto's riverside charm to Galicia's wild coast, follow a path through fishing villages, ancient chapels, and windswept beaches. Walk the Camino. feel the call. More than a journey, it's a transformation. Join our small group, escorted by Christine and Father Joy in May of 2026. FreedomTravelLLC.com, your international travel architects.
To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. 70 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYL. Now back to Talk Back.
Great conversations being held on the air and off the air as Steve and I are starting to debate states' rights.
That's right.
We're not debating it, but let's go back to the phone lines. Good morning. You're on Talkback with Stephen and Nathan.
Yeah, just listening to the various presenters so far comes up with lots of different ideas. The reason I originally called was to see if anybody had ever looked to determine how many of the LSU baseball players are actually natives of Louisiana.
That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that.
With this portal situation, it's no longer semi-pro, it's pro.
Good point.
Simple as that. And why is the university basically supporting athletics? It doesn't make too much sense to me. But then I got to thinking, I wonder when LSU Stadium is going to be the Ford Earls Tiger Stadium.
Oh, yeah. College always had this, like, sanctity to it now, and now it's just more commercialized, I guess. But, I mean, the university's always profited off of it, too.
Interestingly, Dr. Paul Carell made the comment the other night. I went to the education meeting they held at Keys Park on Tuesday evening, and I think that was where he was at, that he made the comment that Cassie Nat, who was the LSU star, All-American, National Player of the Year, was granted extra year of eligibility, and so he's transferred, I think, to a D1 school somewhere, and he said he got his first NIL check, which had a great impact on his family. So NIL is being talked about both the positive and the negative, and I think it'll be a long time before we discover what the full impact is, but it's certainly not the same old college that we used to know, college sports.
Yep. We'll catch you later.
Thank you so much for your call. Let's go to the next line. Good morning. You're on Talkback with Stephen and Nathan. Hello, caller. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, that's you.
Yeah, hey, I wanted to do just a little bit of a fun topic. I thought that since Alexandria has now got an Olive Garden coming in, that it was now time to have a Waffle House in Stenlaw in Alexandria. And I thought, thinking about this briefly, one, it's an aid to like emergency response, how you have the, Waffle House index on whether or not to open or close to figure out if you really got a bad emergency or not. And also, based on personal experience, it's an aid for those of us who overindulge and end up with like hangovers and stuff. And then, it's just good food. So,
that's great.
So anyway, that was it. I just think it's time for us. And I was kind of wondering if y'all would know, who do we need to talk to influence to get us a Waffle House franchise in Alexandria?
Well, that's a great question. Matt Ritchie would be the guy. Probably. I'm trying to decide. Waffle House is a franchise model according to the first website that comes up, and they offer franchise opportunities. So that means that it takes an independent investor with probably $1 million sitting around not doing anything with to do that. So hopefully, I agree. That issue of that waffle, what was that called? The Waffle House emergency gauge or whatever.
They always stay open. So if the Waffle House closes, it's bad.
It's bad. That's right.
Yep.
Great. Hey, thanks for your call. I appreciate it, caller. Got time for one more. Good morning. You're on Talkback with Stephen and Nathan.
Yeah, I'd say that college baseball is, I know we have the portal right now, but it's still the last major college men's sports that's still amateur feeling, though. Because you got, look at all the conferences that were represented this year, and you had the small teams that were able to make it.
And this is not going to be a popular opinion. I just don't care about NIL. Like, if the kids want to make money when the university has been making tons of money for decades, like this whole sanctity thing, I personally don't understand it. I like professional sports. To me, it's not really that much of a big deal.
I don't have a problem with transfer portal or NIL. I think if coaches are able to move around, I don't know why players should be punished. I know it's changed college sports, but I don't know, a lot of people probably disagree with me on that. But
I think Nathan disagrees. I can see it on his face.
I'm pondering it because to me there's a purity of fighting for the old alma mater. You know, there's just something about that loyalty that comes along that you lose once you get into, the model that is paid for through, endorsements and deals. And so just that, and it may just be a nostalgia thing, but the fact that you had somebody that loved their university or loved their state or loved their alma mater and stayed, even though they had other opportunities someplace else, you value those folks. But at the same time, I can never fault somebody for improving their lot in life.
I think about it, okay, like Emmitt Smith played for the Cowboys forever, and then he had like this one-off year where he played for the Cardinals because of some contract issues. He got older. I still think of him as a Cowboy. Peyton Manning is still a cult to me.
Right.
There's some sort of loyalty, but I get it. I just don't really care personally.
Well, you'll care when your best team loses its best player, and because somebody paid him $1 million more. So, hey, appreciate your call this morning. Thank you very much. We've got a whole another hour coming up of more calls here on the Talk Back for this Thursday morning. Al Quartermont out. Keep him in your prayers as he's going through oral surgery this morning, and Monday morning he can let us know how it goes.
The opinions expressed were those of the hosts and callers, and not necessarily those of Cenlaw Broadcasting.
FM 104.9, AM 970, KSYL, and KRRV 100.3 HD3, Alexandria. It's 8 o'clock.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. Top Trump officials are doubling down on the president's claim the U.S. obliterated 3 nuclear facilities in Iran last weekend after leaked findings from the Pentagon may dealt a temporary setback. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth spoke this morning.
The director of the CIA putting out a statement just last night. CIA can confirm that a body of credible intelligence indicates Iran's nuclear program has been severely damaged by recent targeted strikes.
We've heard from the Ayatollah Khamenei on the war with Israel. The BBC's Will Vernon.
He praised the Iranian armed forces for breaching Israel's defenses, saying the country was brought to its knees. The Supreme Leader also confirmed that U.S. forces had attacked his country's nuclear facilities on Sunday, but claimed they failed to achieve their objective.
A down note for the U.S. economy. New numbers from the Commerce Department show it shrank 0.5% in the first quarter. That's worse than earlier estimates. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger.
We saw softness in consumer spending, but most importantly, this number is impacted by the fact that companies started to import very aggressively in the first 3 months of the year.
They made that move to get ahead of President Trump's tariffs. As America grays, new census numbers show immigration is driving population growth.
The U.S. population would be declining if not for historic immigration growth among Hispanics and Asians. Children still outnumber older adults, but that gap is shrinking as baby boomers age and the birth rate drops. Bill Fry is a demographer at the think tank, the Brookings Institution.
So we're becoming older, and that's why it's so important that we have these younger people coming in from other parts of the world.
Hispanics now account for 20% of the total population and 27% of children. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Feels like a breath of fresh air in the eastern portion of the country. A cold front is pushing out a blistering heat wave that brought 100-degree-plus temperatures. CBS meteorologist David Parkinson.
We are considerably cooler today than we were the last several days. No records expected to be broken in the East Coast today, but we do still have heat advisories in effect.
Cooler air could push temps down by as much as 30 degrees in some spots. Today marks a decade since the Supreme Court's landmark ruling legalizing same-sex marriage nationwide. Jonathan Lovitz with the Human Rights Campaign.
It's an exciting moment to also take stock of all the progress we've made in those 10 years and what is ahead of us as a community. So we are celebrating love today and recommitting ourselves to an even better tomorrow with more hard work.
Dow futures up 105. This is CBS News.
Progressive Insurance. Progressive can protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, RV, and more. In short, a lot of things. Bundle today at progressive.com.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia, I got a tour of their headquarters, I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Louisiana Radio Network, I'm Sean Burns. The medical community across the country is urging Congress not to make cuts to Medicaid as they debate the One Big Beautiful Bill. Among those is Dr. Betty Lowe of Metairie, who says Louisiana has more people dependent on Medicaid than many states, and slashing it would have a devastating effect on patients and doctors here.
The entire financial strain, the implications of that is enormous. And really unthinkable, untenable, and truly unethical and immoral to be treating these patients almost as if they are secondary class citizens.
A bill to ban balloon releases sails through the legislature, so naturally Governor Landry would sign it, right? Wrong. Governor Landry vetoed House Bill 581 by Harahan Republican John Ilg, who says his colleagues were as shocked as he was when Landry turned it away.
I had at least a dozen legislators call me and said, man, what happened with your bill? I said, I don't know. I think the governor thought maybe it was more of an enforcement problem.
Louisiana Radio Network.
When you think of real estate, one name is at the top of the list, Ritchie Real Estate. Matt and his team are experts when buying and selling homes, businesses, land, leases, or even industrial buildings. And at Ritchie Real Estate, they can even handle all of your property management needs. They make the entire process easy and as stress-free as possible. They are your full-service choice for anything in real estate. Trust the professionals and find them online at RitchieRealEstate.com. Good morning. Excessive heat all across the country, and you got it. Louisiana, no exception to the rule. As we're seeing another sunny, hot day today, 95 for the afternoon high. 101 will be the heat index this afternoon, so be careful if you have to be out in that heat. We'll see a southerly breeze at about 5 during the afternoon. Tonight, partly cloudy. We'll get down to 73 for the overnight low, and more of the same in store for us on Friday with a chance of an afternoon shower. From the Cenla Broadcasting Weather Center, I'm Dave Gratian. 74 degrees in Cenla.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics. With 27 providers and 3 locations, someone can see you today.
It's Talkback, Central Louisiana's longest-running talk show. Whether it's the guests or the callers, Talkback is where Central Louisiana begins its conversation.
Happy Thursday morning. Terrific Thursday here on Talkback with Stephen Maxwell TV and Nathan Martin. And I wanted to broach that topic. Why is TV still in your name? And I think there's a 4-letter word involved with that.
Yeah, META, Meta. And it's the same thing Fort Polk is going through. They're trying to change their name from Fort Johnson to Fort Polk. But apparently when you have a verified page name, it takes this whole long process. I think mine's messed up. I put in a name, it got sent in for review, and then I tried to put it in again. They say, this name isn't available, but you already put one in, and you can't do any other requests. So I'm stuck in limbo. But
oh, that is frustrating. Well, I saw the there was a story, and now I can't find it, of the sign changes and stuff for Fort Polk. Of course, it's a different Polk, not the Confederate general. It's the World War II hero. But, for the consistency, nostalgia, and people who use that name forever, I'm sure there's a lot of meaning for that. So when people look at Stephen Maxwell TV, just let them know change is coming, just slowly.
Maybe. Just imagine it says Stephen Maxwell Sinlaw, and we'll call it a day. Just think of that.
That'd be nice, yeah.
I'm trying.
Well,
but
branding
is very complicated.
Yes, they are. And they don't have a phone number you can call.
No. And I'm sure an email would be a waste of time as well. But we'll figure it out.
You would think for a verified person, you would have a little bit higher level of support.
Maybe if I buy like the extra verified subscription, they'll listen to me more, but that's like $150.
Hey, Chad, can we borrow your credit card?
Yeah, don't say that. I can't say that anymore for a couple of days. My limit is up.
You hit your limit. Hey, well, the end of the month is only 4 days away.
That's right.
So, July 1st is coming right around the corner. So speaking of July 1st, lots of stuff going on fireworks-wise and spectaculars coming up. Fireworks over Bulow coming up July the 3rd. That's one I've been involved with for a long time and looking forward to that. They always laugh at me when I talk about the band names because I never get them right. I'm just not really into music I'm more of a praise and worship guy. That's just what I do. So last year, it was the Cheetones or something like that, and I call them the Cheetos. And
the one y'all have this year is legit. They're good.
Now tell me who they are.
Bag of Donuts.
See, that was a Bag of Donuts. I have no clue. I know what a box of donuts is. I can buy that at Harlow's or Shipley's, but
Dude,
Bag of
talk
Donuts.
About donuts. I'm so hungry right now. Yeah, Bag of Donuts is a legit cover band in Louisiana.
Really?
Sure. Oh yeah, I've seen them a couple times.
Okay. Well, that's good. I honestly don't know, so that's good to know. People will enjoy them.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot of fun, very entertaining. We love fireworks over Bulow. Last one I went to, thunderstormed out though, so hopefully we don't deal with that this time.
Hopefully not. Yeah, that's coming up on the July the 3rd is always the date. It's always the day before. Alexandria often has something on July 4th itself. I don't know. I haven't verified, but a week from today will be the fireworks over Bulow. I think the gates will open in 3 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that. And
packed event. Yeah.
There'll be a lot of stuff. I for the last 4 or 5 years, I have had a tent there. I give out free water, and I put up signs, free Bibles, free prayer, free water, and just kind of
that's cool.
Being friendly to people and striking up conversations. But there'll be a lot of great food vendors out there, and it's just going to be a lot of fun.
I lied. The last one I went to, me and my wife, we just started dating. So she invited me to go to the fireworks over Bulow with her family. So I kind of was meeting her family.
Oh, cool. I was hoping you was going to say it had a special place because you proposed to her there or something. No. But you met her family, so that's cool.
Yeah.
I've heard you talk about her family some, and apparently there's food is a big part of that.
She's from Venezuela. They are too. And it's her mom randomly brought over some just random chicken and rice, but it's the best chicken and rice yesterday that I ever had. It's so good. They cook the best food. I love it. And just random parties.
Yeah. The Latin American culture loves to party, and they party in a big way, and everybody's invited.
Yep.
And when I attended school after LC, I transferred to a school in Texas called Kingsway Missionary Institute because I was going to be a missionary. And there was classes on culture and different things. And one of the culture classes talked about the festivals and the party atmosphere. A family would save money for a year in order to invite the entire community to come celebrate somebody's birthday, or
I believe it.
A daughter turning 15, obviously a big deal. And they save for 2 or 3 years, save money for years to be able to put on this huge party and all that because the celebrations were so great. Well, think about it. If everybody in the community is doing that, there's a party almost every weekend somewhere.
Yeah. It's such a fun culture, and they just really enjoy life. Like my wife was telling me in Venezuela, they would once a year, everyone in the neighborhood, they just repaint their house at the end of the year because it's like a new season. It's amazing.
And they're vibrant colors. Mm-hmm. I used to call it Peptol Bismol pink, but you'd see pink houses and yellow and green, all sorts of great colors and such life there. That's awesome.
Meanwhile, my family and I, we just kind of sat around and watched TV. That was our fun. And so there's like a difference. Okay, so they're really into decorating and having fun. My family's more, conservative, Southern Baptist type. And so when there's like Mother's Day, if I don't throw a big enough party for her, It's a big deal because she's gonna throw a big party for me.
The
So I'm getting
expectations.
used to getting out of my comfort zone a little.
Wow, so you got to step up the game a little bit.
I hope she's not listening.
When's her birthday?
October.
Okay. So you got
13th.
a little time to plan.
I got some time.
Okay.
Because I'm kind of boring with, planning stuff, but I'm trying to get better every year.
We struggle with that. My wife and I, neither one of us are great party planners, and so we typically try to outsource that to one of our daughters who are good at that. So you need to find somebody who's good at it and say, look, I'll pay you, just plan.
You ain't lying. I'll get her mom to do it, or so I'll pay her some good money. Especially if she cooks. She's the best cook she's got to be the best cook in Alexandria. Gotta be.
You said Venezuela reminds me of Jorge Rocha, who has the Little Chubbies. Have you tried out Little Chubbies
No,
yet?
I'm definitely going to head by there eventually.
I had a cheeseburger from there for the first time yesterday.
Is it called the Little Punch?
Yeah, that's right. And my Little Punch is a little bit bigger than after I had it. It's really good. They're very tasty. I've had 2 or 3 different kinds of fries. I've only been there 2 or 3 times, but he's got a really neat concept there. It's working very well. Every time I've been in there, his employees are just delightful.
Oh, awesome. Looks like a beautiful place, too.
He's done a great job renovating that building. So
I hope to see
But
the
no
rest
Venezuelan food.
I know.
Sorry.
And he's from Venezuela, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
I'd love to see just more buildings like that in downtown Pineville. It'd be so cool. But downtown Pineville is really pretty.
Well, he's a big part of that. He owns 6 or 8 buildings down there. He bought probably several in a row or close to each other. He announced yesterday the building 2 doors down from Little Chubbies, maybe it's 3 doors down, used to be a T-shirt company, is now...
No, that's a band. 3 doors down.
Thank you very much. I thought that was a song, Laughing and Party and Laughing and Singing and Having a Party.
Yeah,
Well, that's 2 doors.
No,
laughing and singing and now. Okay, I can't do that. I think the caller needs to save me. Good morning, caller. You're on Talkback with Stephen and Nathan.
Y'all are doing a fabulous job.
You're delightful. Thank you.
Love it.
Well, thank you.
Wow.
Wow. We need more callers.
I want more callers like that. That's right. Maybe I need to sing more.
She's gonna be in our Hall of Fame. Yeah. We should have a listener Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. There will be some regulars in there that we recognize, and then the occasional, you mean to tell me? I love it when he calls. Gets me every time.
Oh, man.
I was telling you this. Yeah, so the former T-shirt place, Screen Print and Warehouse, I think it was called, that was there for many, many years, is now a photography studio.
Oh, cool.
And you see the pictures and what he's done with it. It looks really great. He has been working for a long time on the old Star Theater, and it's going to be opening soon, I believe, as the Paris Boutique. That will be a boutique that his wife runs, and should be a delightful little place there. I don't know what other plans he has. He bought the former 705 Main Street, which my brother and I owned for some time back in the late 90s and early 2000s. We had a cabinet shop there, and we became victims of the 2008 downturn and ended up,
What kind of shop did you have?
Cabinets. We built cabinets.
Oh, cabinets. Okay. Wow.
For many years, Precision Woodworks were there. My brother still has a cabinet shop, but it's in a shop in his backyard. So he still continues to do the cabinetry, custom cabinetry, but that we owned that building for a while, and then after we sold it, it really never opened up as anything else. And so he's got some big plans for that. And but other parts of Main Street, there's a place, I think it's 414 Main, that used to be a gas station years ago, and then it was a used car lot. It's been completely cleaned up. The new owner has put up a brick facade on it, and he says it's going to be a small, like a convenience store.
Wow.
So that's super exciting.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, and it's beautiful what he did on the front. So the Downtown Development District that will be meeting next Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday, they have this facade grant. They will match up to 50% up to a certain amount of money for businesses that apply and want to improve the facades of their facilities.
Yeah.
And so that's on Monday at noon. They'll have they're actually considering a new proposal.
Down, sorry.
Yeah. I need to feed you this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So Monday at noon, well, actually they're going to meet at 1. I said wrong. Noon will be the city council meeting to adopt the budget. At 1 o'clock will be the Downtown Development District meeting. But they're considering a proposal to do a grant for lighting in downtown, for businesses to, again, probably a 50% match to help businesses that want to do artistic lighting or historic lighting. And, so just really nice stuff to bring up the level there in downtown.
More colors, like if you look at Little Chubby's, it's got a bright red color to it. Then is it Pineville Elementary across from City Hall? They have that mural as well.
That's right.
Love stuff like that.
Yeah, it's really nice to see. Keys Park has a new mural. Beautiful.
I saw that. Yeah.
Beautiful job there. So Alexandria has done some nice things. The under, I don't want to bring up a sore topic, but under the Jackson Street Bridge, they did all those lights there.
Oh, okay, yeah. I thought you were going to say something else.
No. I know it caught some flack. Why are we spending our money on that? But it was really primarily for pedestrian safety and improvements. But they brought in landscaping and lighting, and it's absolutely pretty. It's very nice and very lovely. And so I appreciate, what sometimes folks don't understand is there are pockets of money that can only be used for certain things. And so if it's safety money or pedestrian money or, whatever it is, if you get that grant, you can't just go do something else with it. You have to do what that grant is for. And Alexandria took advantage of a specific grant. It made it so much safer for pedestrians walking through that area, which there are quite a few, and made it very pretty at the same time.
I think I'm all about spending more money to put more lights, to put more murals up, to make the place look more vibrant. We got to have pride in where we live. You got people to want to have a good, I hate to say the word good vibe when you come, but that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Like when I was in Shreveport, they had these three huge water towers on 49 and I-20.
Mm-hmm.
If you go down that area, they were all rusty, they're ugly. So that's like the first impression you get of Shreveport.
Right.
But they got a muralist to come out there, completely redo all three of them. It just adds a little touch to make you have pride in your community and to make you want to be somewhere. And I like that. I think we should spend more money on that.
Well, you look at what downtown Alexandria has done. I don't know if you would remember 20 years ago, but downtown Alexandria was really struggling. Really, really struggling.
I remember 10, 15 years ago.
And a lot of it, a good bit of it is the city, and they deserve credit. Absolutely. But a lot of it is the individual business owners themselves. And, Jurassic Park was the name. Now it's Ugly Mug Marketing.
Mm-hmm.
It was Jurassic Skate Park, I think was the original name, which made no sense to me. I'm thinking, we're getting the skate park. But it's now Ugly Mug Marketing. And their mural in front of there, Tamp and Grind, the people who have done the heart murals and all those different things that have become photo destinations. Kids taking senior pictures and prom pictures. They want to go downtown. Man, there's a synergy about that.
Yeah.
It's hard to create or fabricate, but when you can get it together and it just the dominoes start to fall, it's absolutely wonderful.
And you're right. There's different pots of money. There's more different money for putting up murals, for putting up lighting than there is for fixing a pothole. It's not the same thing.
Right. I love what the city did. I think it may be on Bolton. I'm not sure, but there's certain parts where we used to have nothing but brick streets downtown. Well, when they tear up, they're hard to fix. So they've gone in with asphalt with a brick overlay on top of it. And it sort of preserves the charm, but it's easier to repair and a smoother ride.
That's something, too, we've noticed over the past couple of decades, like architecture and city buildings and any building used to be so extravagant back in the day. You took pride in even the benches and the light poles. Now it's so just industrial and this modern minimalist look. It's a little depressing. I like going back to the older architecture. It gives you pride and it has more worth feeling to it. Does that make sense? If you
ever saw the picture of the original Alexandria, not the original, but one of the early city halls where Fulton Park is now, gorgeous building. So I appreciate people like Charles Sherry and those for preserving. I also appreciate our sponsors who put commercials on here so that we can do this show, and I need to let them do it right now. We'll be back with more right after this.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
Dentures. You can't live with them, and you definitely can't live without them. But what if we told you there's a better way? Today's Dental in Pineville is here to revolutionize your smile. Say goodbye to old-fashioned adhesives and endless appointments. They've made getting implants incredibly simple, low anxiety, and affordable for everyone. Picture this. In-office IV sedation administered by a highly skilled, certified nurse anesthetist, making the procedure low anxiety and stress-free. And the best part? Their multiple finance options make implants truly affordable. Don't wait. If you're ready to replace those old-timey dentures with permanent implants, call Today's Dental on Highway 28 East in Pineville at 448-4540. It's a general dental facility owned by Dr. Jonas Gauthier. That's 448-4540. Your perfect smile is just a call away. Today's Dental, because you deserve the best.
Got a big day ahead of you? Then it's best to fuel up with some of Cenla's best at Bricato's restaurant. Walk right in and just smell that home-style cooking. Place your order, take a seat, and do breakfast right till 9:30 this morning. Get fresh biscuits, eggs any way you like them, melt-in-your-mouth pancakes, grits, hash browns, sausage, bacon, even wraps and sandwiches. And don't forget their fresh brewed coffee. Bricato's Restaurant, 28 West, right across from the Coliseum. Your breakfast is waiting for you.
How did I let my gambling get this bad? The credit cards are maxed out and rent is overdue. I can't tell my family. What if I lose everything? I mean, there has to be a better way.
You're not alone. If you or someone you know are struggling with problem gambling, free and confidential help is a call or a click away. Call 877-770-STOP or visit helpforgambling.org. Take the first step toward a better tomorrow. You don't have to do it alone. A message from the Louisiana Department of Health, Office of Behavioral Health.
If you'd like to take part in the show today, call the BOM Bank Talk line at 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. And remember, if you're looking to purchase or refinance your home, call Christina Bagwell at the BOM Bank Mortgage Department at 448-2430.
Now back to Talkback, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
Well, the Rapides Parish Journal has reported that a design firm has been chosen for the new expanded Renaissance Juvenile Detention Center, the Home for Youth. And as you may recall, there was an agreement that formalized a multi-parish district. Rapides, Grant, Avoyelles, LaSalle, Vernon, Wynn, Catahoula, and Concordia are all putting up money together to house juveniles that are in the pretrial situations, or it could be for some convictions as well. The state is entering into that and offering $1.5 million to have 17 of the 56 beds reserved for state-assigned offenders, but the majority of the beds will be for Cenla youth, and decision was made to choose the architectural firm of Grace Aber Curtis is the firm. I'm not familiar with them, but they have offices in 5 Louisiana cities as well as 16 locations in Texas and Florida. And apparently their design experience with detention facilities was the primary reason that they were selected. So you may remember the Renaissance District was formed and chosen earlier this year by the state in the initial competitive round for trying to find which detention facilities would be funded throughout the state. And again, this is going to be for 17-year-olds awaiting case disposition or conviction according to the story. So big decision there. And it does depend upon the office's facility plan and control to give final checkoff on that. But that's a big story. It's a big expansion going on there in Alexandria. And the Renaissance Home is, I think, one of those hidden gems that we don't talk about a lot, but it certainly fills a very important void in Central Louisiana for our young people who need alternate paths to be, hopefully be diverted back into good ways, who may have gotten into some trouble. And I know some of the people that work out there, and they have a big heart for the youth. The idea of starfish comes to mind, the story of the little boy throwing the starfish back in the water. Can't save them all, but you maybe can save this next one. And so interesting to see how that continues to develop coming up in the coming days. I don't know when the Renaissance Board has their meetings, but we have several different folks locally who are on their board, and that'll be something that we'll be following as well.
Yeah, definitely important work. And like you said, if we can just help some kids, one kid, it's worth it for sure.
I have been out there many times as a pastor ministering and visiting young people, and I've seen up close and personal the work that they do. I'm sure you saw the story of the Ten Commandments law being ruled unconstitutional by a federal appeals court.
Yeah.
And then the next day I saw where Texas passed a law to require the Ten Commandments in every, it's like there's
Arkansas too, Texas, Oklahoma. Yeah.
Yeah. So these courts are probably going to be filled with, with these cases coming, because apparently these legislatures and legislatures and governors feel like this is something that is necessary. I find it interesting that they will be arguing this case in front of a 9-panel justice of the Supreme Court, and above their head is the Ten Commandments. Just find it interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. I from like an objective standpoint, like looking at it both sides, I just don't see how it's going to be deemed constitutional.
You think it's okay in a courthouse but not in a schoolhouse? Is that kind of the distinction you think?
For me personally?
Yeah, I mean, looking at it objectively or however you're...
No, I don't think we should be paying for any religious insignia. That's just my opinion.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I think
I don't say I dislike the Ten Commandments.
No, I'm not putting that on you at all. But the idea of a lawgiver, that the law is the foundation of a peaceful society, I think is where why it shows up in our courts, in our courthouses, and I think we have them. Well, I don't know if Rapides Parish Police Jury has it or not, but Rapides Parish Courthouse, I should say. I thought there was. I'll have to go back and look.
Yeah.
Interesting story, though.
Yeah, for sure.
I know Sandra, who part of the show for me, she would like, we have bigger fish to fry. That's not something we need to spend our time on. But there are others who feel like, the fabric of society is frayed, and how do you get it back is by at least establishing the standards and saying that there is, law is a standard that we all must respect. So
I understand. I get that. And what I'm going to say is very unpopular, but I don't think you have to have that displayed to come to some sort of conclusion when it comes to what's right or wrong for the law from a secular standpoint. That's just my opinion.
You're welcome to be wrong. I'm kidding.
I don't think we need to display it as a government. That's my opinion.
So, the debate about separation of church and state, obviously a long-term debate, but many people, at least from the perspective I'm on, feel like that's supposed to be a one-way law where the government is not supposed to dictate to religion, but people could, with religious convictions, could affect government. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's not separation from religion. It's just the government shall not, pick their own religion.
So if they do something, it's like establishing something. So there's no establishment clause. There we go. Okay, that's the terminology that that some would use. I just saw that coming up. I thought it was interesting how when it's appealed in Louisiana and then it passes in states around, it's becoming obviously more than just Louisiana thinking about it.
And they try to find some loopholes with it too. The legislature here in Louisiana said, well, it's going to be funded by, donations. These posters that they have put up. So they try to find ways to do it.
Right.
But I mean, at the end of the day, there's a lot of people who believe that it's necessary, but also it's very political. It's just a political football too.
That is true. I wish it weren't the case. In a recent meeting with a bunch of people talking about the fabric of society breaking down, family being destroyed. How do you undo that? How do you undo 50 years of subsidizing single families, single mother households? I don't know how you undo that. You're not going to undo it overnight.
No. And they always bring up, well, it's the Ten Commandments was the basis of our legal code, or our founders based it off of the Ten Commandments. You really don't see the Ten Commandments posted anywhere, or a lot of mention of religion for the most part at all from our founding documents, from our founding fathers' letters. They say that our rights are given to us by God, but this is not, it's something they were very serious about separating from, I think.
Well,
you can have your own convictions.
Sure.
For sure.
I think the thing that I would counter that thought process with is, I think, in fact, I have to find the scripture. I think it's in Isaiah. There is the three branches of government are shown where God establishes himself as king, lawgiver, and judge. And that's your three branches, your executive, your judicial, and your legislative branches.
Sure.
And the founding fathers looked at that to inform their decision-making process on how to establish. So I think it's open for debate as to how much it influenced them. Obviously, there were many deists who basically viewed a God in general, but not necessarily involved in the daily affairs. But there were many others who were very strong.
Yeah, 100%.
Interestingly, if you go back and look at the constitutions of the states themselves, some of the states' constitutions required you to be a baptized Christian to be elected in office.
Yeah, that would be a problem.
All right. Well, speaking of problems, that's a problem at the bottom of the hour. It's not a problem. It's a privilege and an opportunity to hear who sponsors Talkback.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Walgreens reported quarterly profit that beat Wall Street expectations. It's a hopeful sign as the pharmacy giant prepares to transform into a private company after its market value plummeted due to retail competition and lower prescription drug payments from insurance companies. Lower gasoline prices and less demand in the U.S. is denting earnings at the company that owns Circle K convenience stores. Couche-Tard slightly missed estimates in the latest quarter, saying a key measure of fuel volumes was down almost 2% in the U.S., but the company did hold on to its market share here. It's the first earnings report for Couche-Tard since it signed a non-disclosure agreement with the Japanese company that owns 7-Eleven, which it has been trying to buy. Stock futures are rising as traders bet that interest rate cuts could come sooner than expected after the Wall Street Journal reported that President Donald Trump may fast-track his pick for the next Fed chair. Yesterday, the broader market ended flat. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
The clinics welcome Dr. Noah Miller, family medicine physician, to our team. Dr. Miller from Vadrine, Louisiana, is now accepting new patients. Call today to schedule your appointment. The clinics offers a wide range of services, including primary care, family and chronic care, urgent and acute care with on-site lab and x-ray. Same-day appointments are available, and we accept most insurance and Medicare. Experience exceptional care at the clinics, 1587 North Bolton. Call 445-9823 or look us up online at theclinics.us.
Success is about momentum. For over 20 years, Kinetics has been moving businesses forward with cutting-edge IT, cybersecurity, and marketing solutions while keeping them secure, innovative, and competitive. We power progress with next-gen business technology and marketing solutions designed to keep your business ahead of the competition. Need seamless IT, a bold new brand, a strategy built for what's next? Don't get left behind. Move forward with Kinetics. Visit kbisp.com and take the next step today.
Tell me what's going on.
What's going on in Cenla?
Check this out.
Don't miss our Central Louisiana Independence Day celebrations. Alexandria, Pineville, and other local communities will be lighting up the skies in the name of freedom. Come party with us.
Feeling hungry? Join us for a hearty breakfast at the clubhouse at Beulah Lake Airport in Pineville, Saturday morning, July 5th, from 7 till 9. Get all you want to eat and drink for just a $10 donation.
Hey kids, the Alexandria Museum of Art's Summer Art Camp start Monday, July 14th. Children ages 6 to 12 will experience fun, fanciful, imagination-stretching art activities. Get the details online.
Join us as the Alexandria Mall celebrates all things summer in their Summer Mode event. Come in Saturday, August 2nd from 1 till 3 for family-friendly activities, giveaways, crafts, and a fun summer movie on the big screen.
Cenla Broadcasting.
Welcome home.
Good morning. Excessive heat almost across the country, and you got it. Louisiana, no exception to the rule. As we're seeing another sunny, hot day today. 95 for the afternoon high. 101 will be the heat index this afternoon, so be careful if you have to be out in that heat. We'll see a southerly breeze at about 5 during the afternoon. Tonight, partly cloudy. We'll get down to 73 for the overnight low, and more of the same in store for us on Friday with a chance of an afternoon shower. From the Cenla Broadcasting Weather Center, I'm Dave Grayson. Currently 77 degrees in Cenla.
Now back to Talkback, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
That the benefit goes to those actively seeking employment.
In other news, the Louisiana Farm Bureau's 103rd annual convention.
There we go. Got the right button pushed now. Were you here in Farm Bureau or something?
No, we were having the talk back off the mic during the break.
Welcome back again. Welcome back to Talkback. I said that, but my mic wasn't on. Let's go back to the phone or go to the phone lines for this part of the show. Good morning. You're on Talkback with Stephen and Nathan.
Hey, Big Nate and Big Steve. This is Big C.
Big C. How are you, Cornelius?
Whenever you get a chance, before the end of the show, because I take notes on the show, give those scriptures from Isaiah, because that's what the founding fathers used was the Bible. I know Steve's a young man. When I went to school, we had the prayer of the pledge, the Negro national anthem, and the national anthem, because we were separated then. Of course, the wife had the prayer and the pledge and the national anthem. But once the Supreme Court decided to take that out in the 60s, which should have never been taken out, our downfall was going, and then abortion in the 70s, and then 2015 homosexual marriage. But I wish people would read the founding documents. Super Dave, our UPS driver, he really picked up on that. Hillsdale has a whole lot of good stuff on the founding documents and everything. But they followed the Bible. And you know what that means? Basic instructions before leaving Earth. So you read the Bible can guide you in a whole lot of things. I start out with the prayer of protection, Psalm 91, the Lord's Prayer, Matthew 6, and then Proverbs has one for every day. If it's 31 days, today's the 26th, so there's Proverbs. But see, that's where our founding documents came from, was from the Bible. And like I said, a lot of young people, they just don't know that. And Harvard and Yale, all those big colleges, they used to be Bible-based. Matter of fact, you had to read the Bible in school. This separation of church and state was never in there. Jefferson was talking about separation. You didn't have to be a Baptist, or Methodist or anything like that, being government. Or you didn't have to believe at all. So these people was Foundation Against Religion, whatever they call themselves. They all know you can't put up the 10 Commandments. But on the 10 Commandments, I want to say this. Putting them up means nothing. They have to be put in your heart and mind. So I'm not so much for them putting them up as for them teaching the values in the Bible. And then maybe we wouldn't have as much crime, murder, rape, and all like that. So I wish we would go back to our founding documents. I'm going to say one more thing, and I'm going to get off the air. A caller about a couple of weeks ago said, man, it would be nice if we could all meet up either at Bocato's or Atwood. And I just think that was a great idea, because I would love to meet Charlie Brown. He don't call him as much as he used to. I met Mr. Paul. He was a guest host just like Dave was. It was nice to meet Mr. Paul. And I met Becky. Becky's gone and Jesse's gone. Two great callers.
Well, I think that's a great idea, Cornelius. I think we need to commission Stephen Maxwell to set something like that for his streaming and have a meetup.
We'll call it Sit Back with Talk Back.
Look at him. The guy's a marketing genius. All right.
Thanks, Cornelius.
Cornelius, thank you so much for your call. We appreciate you very much. We need to take a break. Back with more.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics, with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
Summertime in Cenla is here. Keep the fun sizzling while staying cool. Bounce into excitement at our indoor trampoline park and play centers. Cool off at local area arcades. Or immerse yourself in creativity at Downtown Art and Children's Museum. Beat the heat and savor the flavors at our local restaurants. Your taste buds will thank you. Strike up some fun. Hit the lanes for some cool bowling adventure. Want more cool ideas? Visit explorealexandriapineville.com. 2 cities, 1 epic summer.
Fentanyl is being used to make fake prescription pills. Assume any prescription pills you see online are fake, including Oxy, Adderall, and Xanax. To help prevent opioid overdose, naloxone is available over the counter through pharmacies, and many community service organizations have naloxone and fentanyl testing strips for free. Be prepared, carry naloxone, and know the signs of an overdose. If you or a loved one needs help or resources, go to opioidhelpla.org. Brought to you by the Louisiana Department of Health.
Now back to Talkback, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
Welcome back to Talkback. Plan and sit back with Talkback.
Yes.
I'm going to press Stephen for that one.
We can all talk about separation of church and state over some omelets.
Man, that would be a blast. I think Ricardo's would be in for it. I mean, they're a regular sponsor anyway.
I love
The only thing I don't like about it is that they close at 9:30, we get off at 9.
I know.
So that's the problem. We would need them to extend the hours this one time. But I'm sure they'd be glad to do that.
We could do that.
Or we do the show live from there. That'd be fun.
That's a great idea.
Live from Mercado's.
We got fresh coffee.
All right. Well, they got good coffee too. Well, here's the verse, Isaiah 33:22. Look, Cornelius, you asked me to look it up for you. Isaiah 33:22 says, "The Lord is our judge." There's your Supreme Court. "The Lord is our lawgiver." There's your Congress. "And the Lord is our king." There's your presidency, your executive branch. He will save us. And that is certainly quoted and cited by many of the founding fathers. As I recall, 8 or 9 of the states actually had religious test requirements for office holders at the beginning. And I only bring that up because I think you start asking about intent. What was the intent of the framers? I think faith and religion was certainly a part of their fiber. It was a part of the fabric of their lives. And so when we remove that, I'm not saying we need to have religious tests. I'm not advocating for that at all today, but I'm just saying that our foundation was by people who, certainly saw faith. In fact, the American Bible Society, which exists today, was founded by Congress, and their goal was to put Bibles in every school. That's crazy, right? Today, to think that the Congress would want a Bible in every school, but the original Congress did. So I think it's worth discussion, dialogue. I don't know in today's world how far it's going to go with the viewpoints that have been developed over 200 years. We're coming up on 250 years, aren't we?
Yeah.
You weren't around for the bicentennial because you're a young whippersnapper.
I wasn't there for any of those major milestones.
But I remember, because I'm 60 now, I was 11 years old, however old I was, 11 years old in the bicentennial, and it was huge. America went all out for a big 200-year anniversary. It was a year-long celebration, and that kind of brings me back to something people were talking about Trump having a parade on his birthday for his birthday. I found out last week that actually was put in place by President Biden. He selected that date when he was president.
Oh, really?
So it was not Trump at all, although the media, the way they spin things, make you think he wanted to have a birthday parade. And so
you know how it goes.
But Biden is the one who actually, because it was the 250th anniversary of the Army, Biden authorized that expenditure.
The auto pen is what you mean.
Okay. Maybe so.
But going back to who wasn't religious of some sort back in the 1700s?
Yeah,
it was just kind of everybody. At that
very
point.
Few in Congress would have been non-religious. I mean, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, both probably would be in the deist category.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of them would have been. Some of them were even pastors.
That's how it is now. Honestly, I think there's 1, maybe 2 atheists who's been elected to Congress. So it's not really about atheists versus religion. I just don't know if there's an actual correlation to where if your society is or your government is religious, your government is better. I just don't know if there's any evidence to support that whatsoever. There's a lot of factors why maybe our society is crumbling, if you believe it is, other than just we have a Bibles or 10 Commandments in school. That's just like a shallow way, in my opinion, of trying to solve a problem. That's the only thing I'm concerned about.
There may be a sense of nostalgia wanting to go back to some days, right?
Yep.
And I have to admit also, if you're going to be honest about history, there are some very dark stains on religious people in the past, slavery being one of those. Obviously, many use the Bible to justify slavery, and that is categorically wrong, or uncategorically, however you say it.
Or we pick and choose things from the Bible, specifically the Old Testament, that we want to highlight when there's other things we wouldn't really want to talk about in modern society, there's tons of arguments for it. I know this isn't we're neither
religious hour
scholars or historical scholars.
We're going to let Dave call in tomorrow and correct us on that.
I'd love to hear what he has to say.
I'm sure he'll have a thought or two. Talking about media spin, how about the debate over whether Iran's nuclear system was hurt for months or catastrophically?
I know. Some people are saying only put it back by a couple of months. You can imagine who is saying that.
MSNBC.
We just don't really know at this point. I remember I was talking to Al about this a couple of days ago. There's an article. The nuclear bomb busters may not have destroyed the nuclear arsenal, and then almost at the bottom of the article, we actually don't know. It may not have.
So let's just write a whole story and get people mad.
Exactly.
But Israel came out with a report yesterday that says that it was set back years.
Yeah.
So that's an independent Slightly biased, of course, but their point of view backs up Trump. And then Trump goes to NATO and he gets them to sign off on raising their contribution to cooperative defense from 2% to 5%, which that's stunning that he got that concession.
Sure, and he also was talking about kind of easing up on Iran, too, on some things like, hey, we don't want to decimate them too much. We want to let them rebuild. So it's interesting. I mean, we have the ceasefire in place. We'll see if it holds.
Hope that it holds. I hope they stop shooting at each other, and also hope that some of the cooler heads in Iran would raise and say, hey, maybe we need to have a different type of direction and leadership. There are many. My aunt married an Iranian 50 years ago or more. He was a student at University of Houston. She was a student there as well. And his family was actually very close to the Shah. And then when the 1979 revolution happened, his family was displaced completely. And to this day, he is not a fan of the current Iranian regime.
Not a big fan of the Ayatollah?
Not at all, because his family was certainly persecuted under their regime, and he was influenced by democratic ideas. Now, the Shah was placed by America. There's no doubt about it. We tried to prop up a government that. Why is it that when you try to prop up a government, then sometimes those guys become despots themselves?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Maybe because they think they got a bully behind them, backing them up. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go back to like all these. We've seen the Ukraine, India. We've seen the Iran, Israel, the Gaza conflicts. With the world of social media now, we're getting our eyes open to like, oh, we get to see the actual citizens of this place.
Right.
And it doesn't get painted in a certain direction. So I think that kind of softens up a little bit of things, maybe how we handle things in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Because we saw a bunch of Iranians who were just like, hey, we're normal people too. Right. We don't like some of the things as well. We don't want anything to do with this. We may have never heard that 10, 15 years ago.
No.
You look at Iraq too. It wasn't just like some backwoods desert all the time. Like it's actual people living in society.
I think that's the biggest thing why I encourage international travel if you can. I've been blessed to get to go to a lot of countries, and people are people. Everywhere you go, they have hopes and dreams for their children. They want a better life for their kids. You've got lazy people and hardworking people. I mean, you've got gossips and you've got trustworthy. I mean, people are people no matter where you go. But there are some common dreams that we have, and I think if you can give them the opportunity, which is what I hope Iran gets, because they are proud people. They have a great history and legacy. Interesting to see what will come next over there.
What I want to reiterate, though, is just because if it is a backwoods desert place, still doesn't mean that they deserve to be bombed. That's not what I'm saying, but you know what I mean.
I do. And I appreciate the fact that the American military's precision was able to put those bombs with minimalized collateral damage, which collateral damage is such a huge, problem in war. My daughter took a makeup class, and she just finished it today, as a matter of fact, or last night, on U.S. history, and we were working through it together. And the lead up to World War II, and then when British bombers were trying to bomb German military sites in World War II, and Germany just decided, well, let me just bomb London. And they began bombing civilians. Well, then the Britain and the Allies had to do that. The senselessness of that is it was almost hard to read. And I'm grateful that we have weapons now that can target specific locations and objectives and hopefully minimize the collateral damage so that people can have a life. And I hope we hear more from the Iranian citizens.
Yeah, and I'm a critic of the current administration sometimes. And I try to be of everyone. I don't idolize any politician or anything. I try not to. But one thing I can say for me personally, his foreign policy is really starting to pan out. That's one thing that he's really been strong with, and it seems to be kind of favoring his direction.
Well, and the result that he got, didn't he get one of those leaders recommended him get the Nobel Peace Prize if this comes out? I saw one of them.
They've been I know Don Jr. was like, if so-and-so got it, why isn't my dad? And there's all. Yeah.
We'll see. But there was actually one of the national leaders made that statement. Well, we'll be back with the final segment. Hopefully have your calls on the BOM Bank Talk Line, 318-442-8255. Give us a call. We'll be back right after this.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
Don't miss the Hot Tub and Swim Spa Blowout Expo this weekend at the LeBoard Earls Entertainment Center. Browse over 40 hot tubs and swim spas at up to 50% off. Financing is available and show admission is free. That's this weekend at the LeBoard Earls Entertainment Center. Visit hottubexpo.com.
Attention all real estate agents, property owners, and lenders. When you or a client needs a real estate attorney, call the professionals at Thompson Law Firm. Whether the legal matter is basic or complex, the Thompson Law Firm can accurately guide you or your client to a successful outcome. That's why numerous industry professionals have trusted the Thompson Law Firm for years. They also handle estate planning, successions, and business law. Call them at 473-0052. I am a paid non-client attorney spokesperson.
Now back to Talkback 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
The last segment of Talkback, going back to the phone lines. Good morning. You're on Talkback with Stephen and Nathan.
Good morning, Stephen and Nathan. How y'all doing this morning?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm just doing 55 in a 45 zone, and it's not woodwork.
Oh, well, don't let your GPS coordinates get out.
I won't. I've been meaning to ask this question for quite some time, ever since, I guess, the 1st of June or so. I see where all these schools are having their graduation exercises in the Lawyer Coliseum out there. I'm just wondering, I know it costs around $5,000 to rent that thing. Are us taxpayers having to pay for that, or is that in each school's budget to have that, when they have these nice auditoriums and everything, and they have to go out to the Coliseum? I'm just curious how us taxpayers fit into that deal.
Well, that's a great question, and one that I will broach with Superintendent Powell. I'll send him a message later today and see if he can give us an answer to that. My guess is there is a payment required because it costs to operate the facility, but hopefully with multiples doing it, maybe they have some type of cooperative endeavor agreement they can do. I know the Coliseum is privately managed, so that will complicate things, but that's a great question.
Yeah, I know that one's charged by the hour now, too. You got so many hours to do your thing, and anything over that, you pay extra, and I'm just curious, they have, these schools are that big, why don't they just put the graduations up in 2 nights, A to L one night and M through Z the next night or something like that, instead of charging us taxpayers for all that expense,
Well, it's publicly owned, though.
It is publicly owned, correct.
Okay, maybe that could fit in there as well.
I hope that there's some sort of cooperative endeavor.
It may be, they may donate the building to them for that kind of stuff. But it's just a question that pops up these days. You just never know what us taxpayers are getting charged for.
Great question. I think worthy of following up on. Between Stephen and I, we'll find you an answer for tomorrow morning.
We'll see who gets it first. I think you will. I'm busy.
You got a full day. Thank you, caller. We appreciate it. Let's go to the next line. Good morning. You're on Talkback with Stephen and Nathan.
Hey, I just wanted to ventilate about something. I guess you saw the other day Trump address the reporters about when Iran broke the ceasefire, and he drops an F-bomb, I don't know, I like Trump, but I just don't see why has our society gotten so coercive? Everybody has to drop F-bombs in conversations. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's some decorum for the office would be nice.
And it disturbs me. I watched YouTube video, Joe Rogan interviewing Mary Talley Bowden. She was that doctor in Houston that was persecuted by Houston Methodist Hospital, and she went before the state board threatening to take her license because she used ivermectin to treat her patients. Her first 4,000 patients she treated, she only had 1 death.
Yeah, I read about that.
But anyway, Joe Rogan has to drop an F-bomb periodically. I mean, come on. It adds nothing to the conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know. That word just disturbs me. I just don't like people using it.
I think Steve and I both agree that it's an unnecessary, I can't imagine a space when it would be necessary. There may be a specific time. I don't know.
Has your football team ever lost?
Well, it's just not in my vocabulary, so that's not a regular feature of mine. But
hey, I'm no saint with the vocabulary sometimes, but I think when you're in a public office or a serious situation, it just doesn't look good. When you shouldn't be saying certain things. My opinion. Some people love his brashness.
Yeah, some people were turned on, and some people feel like it sent a message, because if you recall, Israel and Iran were kind of cat and mouse about whether there's going to be a truce or not be a truce, and then after he dropped the F-bomb, as you said, they both got serious about it. So maybe they saw a side of him that caused them to make that decision, but it certainly is just a little disheartening.
And Nathan, another thing, have you ever heard of Dr. Joseph Barone? Barone, D-A-R-O-N?
That's a name that sounds familiar.
He's from Mexico. He went to medical school in Mexico, and he's one of the top critical care physicians in the United States. He was a medical director of an ICU at a Houston hospital. He worked over 700 days in a row without a day off, and he had the highest survival rate of any ICU in this country. His fatality rate was only about 5%, when the average for other ICUs was more like 25%. But one of the things, he's the only doctor I know of that did not get in trouble for using ivermectin. But you got to remember, he was getting patients. ICUs got patients when they were critical, and he only had a 5% survival rate. And he's the only doctor I know of that did not get in trouble for using ivermectin. But he used the whole cocktail of drugs. So one of them he used was ivermectin.
Yeah.
Of course, now I read an article on the Apple News. They were criticizing him for some controversies that have come up in his past practice, But anyway, you might be interested in reading him. He's an outstanding doctor. He's written hundreds of papers, scientific papers. He's developed a protocol for therapeutic hypothermia. When people have a cardiac arrest, you cool them down and preserve brain function. We did that at our hospital. We did it, and it worked, but we didn't really have any protocols for that. He developed protocols.
Well, I do know that Dr. Simone Gold was one of the ones. My wife had turned me on to several people during that time frame that were kind of touting the alternative line that ended up being, silenced by media, whether it was X, Twitter, Facebook, and it looks like Dr. Verone. I just found him on X. I think they had a lot to say, even to this day. Yesterday, a report came out about post-vaccine traumas that are happening. Myocarditis apparently is a bigger issue than was previously considered. So these voices need to be listened to, and I appreciate you bringing our attention to Dr. Verone. I'll be reading more about him.
Yeah, look, I think you'd be interested. You're all about Mexico.
That's true. Thank you very much. All right, well, that wraps up our time today. Thank you for your call. For all of our callers, we appreciate it. Tomorrow morning, it'll be Stephen and Nathan again. We hope you guys will join us for tomorrow morning's show, as Al will be out one more day recovering. We wish him all the very best. So stick around, be back tomorrow, Stephen, and I look forward to seeing where you're at.
The opinions expressed were those of the hosts and callers.